He should have moved British ships into the theatre to protect British assets, British citizens and Gulf states. He could have moved HMS Dragon 3 weeks ago. He could have moved the aircraft carrier HMS Prince of Wales 3 weeks ago to protect Cyprus and to protect those Gulf states, but he didn't do that. That was a serious dereliction of duty.
Now, let's hear from the Conservative Party and the Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp MP, who joins us. Hello to you.
Good morning, Adam.
Just been speaking to the Minister for the Middle East, saying that the Prime Minister is taking the right decisions in the national interest. Do you agree?
No, I don't. For a start, he has undermined the special relationship by refusing to let the Americans use those bases, Diego Garcia and RAF Fairford, when they asked a few weeks ago. All they wanted to do was take off and land planes from those bases, and because the UK refused, it has undermined the special relationship, when of course we rely on our relationship with the US for trade, for commerce, and critically for defence as well. So that, I think, was a very serious mistake. Secondly, the government, the UK government, Keir Starmer, knew probably 3 weeks ago that this situation in Iran was going to kick off. He knew that because the Americans were asking about using our bases. What he should have done is, even if he didn't want to participate, which I think itself was a mistake, but put that to one side, he knew it was going to happen. He should have moved British ships into the theatre to protect British assets, British citizens and Gulf states. He could have moved HMS Dragon 3 weeks ago. He could have moved the aircraft carrier HMS Prince of Wales 3 weeks ago to protect Cyprus and to protect those Gulf states, but he didn't do that. That was a serious dereliction of duty, and as a result, even as we stand here today, those two ships, Prince of Wales, the aircraft carrier, and Dragon, the missile, air defence destroyer, are sitting in Portsmouth being prepared instead of defending Cyprus and defending Gulf states. They could have done that weeks ago, but they didn't. Big mistake, dereliction of duty.
Well, we just heard from the Minister. He says that they considered what the security needs were, including at Cyprus, and that they had the right things in place to defend from the attack they got, a drone attack. Only one got through. I mean, he might have a point, doesn't he?
Well, not really. I mean, the Gulf states are expressing dismay that the UK has not been helping to defend the Gulf. Obviously, the Gulf is a critical shipping lane. The Straits of Hormuz, a lot of oil passes through it, and loads of Iranian munitions and drones and so on are making it across into those Gulf states like the UAE. I think Kuwait got hit overnight. Oman has been hit. So if we had that air defence destroyer in the Gulf, we could have helped prevent those missiles and drones getting through. But because our government, the Labour government, were asleep at the wheel, we don't have that ship in place, and nor do we have assets close to Cyprus to defend against whatever may head in that direction as well.
I mean, with all due respect, are you in fact fighting the last war, in the sense that every survey which has been taken shows that most people in this country, far more than support, do not support the American military action?
Well, look, I'll just say, let's keep in mind that the Iranian regime has just slaughtered 35,000 of its own people who were trying to protest. Iran has sponsored terrorism around the world, including sponsoring Hamas and actively supporting Hamas in the October the 7th atrocity. They have been trying to get a nuclear weapon on and off for years and years and years. They've also sponsored attacks on British soil. They've sponsored and funded the Houthi rebels in Yemen, where there's a bloody civil war. They've taken shots at shipping, transiting, I think, the Red Sea, as well as the Gulf. So, they're a regime who has exported terrorism, murdered their own people, and even taken action on British soil as well. And I think when that happens, it's reasonable to take action against it.
Except that's not what the last Conservative government did. The last Conservative government was party to the JCPOA, believed in diplomacy, believed that it had curbed the threat from Iran. And the only reason why now you are being gung-ho is because Donald Trump has decided to go to war.
Well, I think when your ally, the USA, decides to take action, you need to look at that very seriously, and they will have, obviously, I would assume, intelligence, which I haven't seen. Obviously, in opposition in the UK, I haven't seen the intelligence picture which the Americans would have seen. So, one assumes there was information in there justifying military action, the military action they've taken. But I think, when the Iranian regime is slaughtering its own citizens, which is beyond doubt, standing by and doing nothing is not a very moral thing to do.
That was the calculation, though, in 2003 against Saddam Hussein, which, again, the majority of British public opinion now thinks was a mistake.
Well, of course, in 2003, as I recall, Saddam Hussein wasn't at the time slaughtering people then. He had obviously killed people in the past, the Marsh Arabs, but I think that was 10 odd years beforehand. What we saw in Tehran and across Iran in the last 2 or 3 or 4 weeks was 35,000 people being slaughtered and doing nothing when that happens. And it is happening. It's a current thing. It's not historic. It's happening now. What's happening in the last 3 or 4 weeks? Standing by and turning the other cheek, like I say, is not a very moral response.
So let's be clear. You are saying, are you, that British forces should now join in the aerial assault on Iran with no reservations about defensive or aggressive attacks? Are you saying that?
Yeah, yes, I am saying that UK forces, aircraft and so on, missiles, should be used to destroy Iranian military installations which are being used to launch missiles and drones at Gulf countries like the UAE, Kuwait, Oman and beyond, where British citizens are living and are at risk. And I think if a country like Iran starts shooting missiles, then they should expect the military installations launching those missiles to be attacked and destroyed. And
right.
I think we should assist in doing that, because we should be destroying military installations launching missiles, yes.
And if it comes to the deployment of ground forces, as some strategists are suggesting regime change would require, should British troops join in that as well?
Well, that is a whole different story. Putting boots on the ground is a different thing entirely, and that would require extremely careful forethought and a very carefully constructed plan. We've seen troop deployments on the ground not deliver the expected results before. Frankly, in both Iraq and Afghanistan, that did not turn out as intended. So again, I think one would want to see a very, very carefully thought out plan. I haven't seen any such plans so far, and that is certainly not something to rush into at all. And as far as I'm aware, it's not currently being proposed either.
Okay, moving on, you've come up with proposals on the police today. You say you're going to deploy 10,000 more. You say you're going to have police concentrating on areas of crime such as shoplifting. That's exactly the same as what the government's saying, isn't it?
Well, I don't think it is. We're saying we'll hire 10,000 extra police officers, funded in part by welfare reductions. Under this Labour government, police numbers are not going up. Police numbers are going down in the last year.
As they did under the Conservative government.
Well, actually, they went down after the 2010 election because the country was bankrupt. We then hired over 20,000 more police officers, and when the last Conservative government left office, there were record ever numbers of police, about 149,000, and that, by the way, was 3,000 higher than in 2010. So we left with record numbers. Labour inherited record police numbers when they won the election a couple of years ago, but since then, police numbers have gone down. Labour is cutting police numbers.
Well, they're not. I mean, the Prime Minister said he's going. It may be a little bit redundant, but I mean, the Prime Minister has said he's going to recruit 3,000 more police this year.
Yeah, well, he's moving some police around into neighbourhood functions, but he's cutting police elsewhere. And when you take it as a whole, total police numbers in the year to September 2025, which is the most recent figure, Police numbers in the UK went down by 1,318 to be precise. So Labour have cut 1,300 police in total. That is completely wrong. It is making the public less safe. We Conservatives would take a different approach. We'd reduce welfare spending and use some of the proceeds of that to hire 10,000 more police. So you've got a difference there. Labour cutting police, Conservatives increasing police numbers, and we would target about half of those extra police at intensively hotspot patrolling high crime areas, because the 5% of neighbourhoods with the highest crime represent 25% of all crime. So we'd flood them with hotspot patrols, we'd use more stop and search, we'd use live facial recognition, and we would catch a lot more criminals in those high crime areas and make the public safer, whether it's shoplifting, whether it's mobile phone snatching, whether it's burglary, robbery. These are the kind of crimes the public want to see sorted out. We've had enough of rampant shoplifting, enough of mobile phones being snatched, and flooding these areas with hotspot police, I think would fix that. That's what the evidence from elsewhere has demonstrated.
Finally, what is your response to the murder and death of Ian Huntley, the Soham killer?
Well, look, I'm not going to mourn his death. He was an evil man. But obviously, people in prison should not be getting attacked by other inmates. But he was an evil man, and no one will mourn his departure.
Chris Philp, thank you very much indeed for joining us this Sunday morning.